Hello, crafty friends, and welcome back to my channel. Well, today is release day over at Simon's Stamp, and I couldn't wait to dive into some of the gorgeous new goodies from their latest collection, Moments in Time. This release is absolutely packed with stunning stamps, dies, embossing folders, stencils, and so much more. I'll be showcasing a few of the amazing products that Simon kindly sent my way, and we will be creating two beautiful card projects featuring the elegant vintage bloom stamp set. Make sure to stick around until the very end of this video. I've got a little surprise for you. I'll be giving you an exclusive sneak peek at few more cards that I created using other items from this fabulous release. Before we jump into the products and today's card making, I would really appreciate if you could take a moment to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you never miss a new video. Before we dive into the card making, let us take a look at the products that I received in my package. Like I mentioned before, this release is packed with stunning stamps, dies, embossing folders, stencils, and so much more. Well, first up, we have the Banner Greetings stamp set. This is a beautiful 4x6 set that features two different banner outline designs, along with a great variety of sentiments. You will find messages like thinking of you, hello friend, happy birthday with so much love, and lots more, making it perfect for your everyday card making and thoughtful greetings. What makes this set even more fun is the coordinating stencil that it comes with. It's designed to help you easily add color and create beautiful ink blended effects on your banners. The stencil lines up perfectly, even on the smaller details of the banners, so you can get a clean and professional look every time. Next up is the Tethered Daisies. This is a stunning floral die set. It includes three separate dies that layer together to create a beautiful detailed daisy, perfect for adding as a striking focal point on your card front. It's a versatile piece that can bring both elegance and a touch of whimsy to your card projects. Next, we have an adorable 4x6-inch stamp set, and I have to say it's definitely my favorite from the entire collection. It's called Thank You Teacher, and well, isn't it just the cutest? The set features a sweet little scene with three students, a teacher, and a charming school building, all paired with a variety of heartfelt sentiments, perfect for expressing appreciations to the special teachers in our lives. Next up is the Back to School embossing folder and cutting die, an ideal companion to the Thank You Teacher stamp set. Now, this is a 3D embossing folder that creates a beautifully detailed pencil background with amazing texture and depth. It also includes a metal die that cuts out one of the pencils from the design. You can even pop the die cut piece back into the folder to highlight those gorgeous etched details. Next, we have the Giggle Hugs die, which is a sweet and petite little sentiment die set. It includes two pieces, one that cuts out the word hugs and another for the coordinating shadow layer. I'm absolutely in love with the font on this sentiment. It's playful yet elegant. I'm thinking of pairing this with the daisies die. Together, they'd make a stunning and elegant card front. Last but certainly not the least, I have the stunning 6x8 stamp set called Vintage Blooms, and it's an absolute showstopper. Just look at the intricate detail in those floral illustrations, beautifully paired with thoughtful mix of sentiments like happy birthday, thank you for everything, missing you today and always, and lots more. And don't miss the charming little extras. There's a delicate postage stamp, sweet birds, a fragile sentiment strip, and that elegant postcard style font. All of those elements come together to make this set perfect for creating truly vintage inspired cards. Today, I will be using this set to create two very different card designs, each with its unique look, color palette, and mood. I really want to show you how versatile one stamp set can be and how it can help you create completely distinct cards with just a few creative choices. Both of the card designs I'm sharing today feature plenty of stamping and ink blending. They are also quick and easy to create, perfect if you're looking to mass produce cards without sacrificing style. For the first card, we will be doing some tone on tone stamping, which simply means using an ink color that closely matches the cardstock that you're using. This technique creates a subtle, elegant background that adds depth without overpowering the design. In my usual card making style, I tend to start with a white panel and add color through ink blending, not just for my background but also for my die cuts. But today I decided to switch things up and go bold with a rich red card panel. This is an A2 size panel that I placed onto my ultra sticky mat on the stamp wheel. I love how securely it holds the panel in place, making stamping so much more easier and precise. I began by stamping the sentiment. To ensure perfect alignment, I used my Simon's stamp grid transparency sheet to position it in a straight line. I positioned my sentiment on the lower left quadrant of this panel. Since this card features a tone on tone look, I wanted to add a touch of shine to make the sentiment pop. So, I stamped it with a clear embossing ink and heat set it using beautiful gold embossing powder by Simon's Stamp. Just a quick tip, don't forget to use an anti-static powder tool before stamping to avoid any stray embossing powder. I'm using the Simon's Stamp Clear Embossing ink pad to stamp my sentiment. I like to stamp it twice to ensure a crisp, clear impression. Since I'm working on a bold red cardstock, the watermark ink is easy to see, which is definitely more challenging when stamping on white cardstock. Next, once I'm done stamping, I generously apply the Simon's Stamp Fine Gold Embossing Powder over the stamped image, making sure every part was well covered. I usually keep a small paintbrush handy to gently brush away any stray embossing powder that might stick outside the stamped area. When it comes to heat setting, be sure your heat gun is fully heated before bringing it to the paper. Keep it moving in a circular motion and avoid holding it in one spot for too long, as that can warp your cardstock. I also like to place my panel on a flat surface like the Positively Everything tool, which I find helps minimize warping a bit. Now that the sentiment is complete, I'll return the panel to my stamp wheel to start adding those gorgeous floral images from the stamp set. The goal here is to cover the entire panel with those beautiful vintage blooms. I carefully positioned the stamps on the panel to cover nearly the entire surface. We can stamp this in sections, and any remaining blank areas can be filled in afterwards. I'll begin by stamping the larger vintage bloom on the right corner of the panel. This will beautifully fill the entire right side next to our gold embossed sentiment. I just love how the stamp nestles perfectly alongside this shiny sentiment. As I mentioned earlier, we are going for a tone on tone look. The closest red I had in my stash was the Positively Saturated ink in the shade Cherry. I love how vibrant and rich this color is. You'll notice it's a bit darker than the cardstock, not exact match, but don't worry, we'll add some ink blending to deepen and soften the red, giving it that perfect vintage feel. I stamped this image twice to achieve a cleaner, crisper impression. You could definitely leave the panel as is, but I wanted to take it a step further and create a more dramatic effect by covering the entire panel with that beautiful vintage floral design. I then shifted the panel to the right corner of my stamp wheel to ensure there's enough space on my ultra sticky mat for the next image. To clean my stamps, I like to use a stamp cleaner along with a microfiber cloth, both by Simon's Stamp. Keep in mind that the colors like pink and reds can stain your stamp, but that's completely normal. Once your stamp is cleaned, you can confidently use it on your next project without worrying about any leftover color transferring. After cleaning my stamp, I moved on to the next set of blooms and stamped it just below the sentiment. Since part of this image extends beyond the edge of my panel, I used some post-it notes to mask the area. I didn't want any of that pink ink staining my ultra sticky mat. Using the same exact cherry ink, I stamped this image twice as well to ensure a clean, crisp impression. Next, I continued stamping the vintage blooms all around the sentiment, making sure to fill the entire panel with these beautiful floral arrangements. Just a quick reminder, be sure to place a sticky note or a scrap piece of cardstock under any areas that hang off the edge of the panel. This will help protect your work surface or your sticky mat from getting stained by that vibrant pink ink. Now that all the stamping and heat embossing is complete, our beautiful floral background with that shiny gold sentiment is ready. But we are not stopping there. It's time to take this panel to the next level by adding some depth, drama, and dimension. To do that, I'll be using the same cherry ink to softly blend around the edges of the panel. This ink blending helps create a more vintage look, which is exactly the effect that I was going for. Be sure to focus the ink just around the edges and keep gradually fading it as you move inwards, keeping the area around the sentiment clean and ink free. To deepen the look even further, I bought in vintage photo distress ink, which is a gorgeous warm brown shade, and added a bit more shading to the outer edges. You could also bring in black soot or charcoal ink from the Simon Says Positively Saturated ink line. It really enhances the vintage feel and gives the card added richness and contrast. This design is super versatile. You could recreate it with different colored cardstocks and vibrant inks for a whole new look. It's also perfect for mass production since it relies mostly on stamping and ink blending. And best of all, it's a very beginner friendly and ideal project for anyone just starting out on their card making journey. Here's a look at our finished panel. Isn't it absolutely stunning? I love how the colors came together with the bold red background complementing the florals perfectly. The ink blending added just the right mix of vibrancy and vintage charm. But of course, I couldn't stop there. I had to add some splatters for an extra texture and interest on this card front. So I brought the panel over to my splatter box and added some gold metallic watercolor, a perfect match for the gold on our sentiment. Once everything was completely dry, I adhered the panel directly on top of an A2 size card base, and that completed our design. I can definitely see myself recreating this design in deep, rich tones like dark green, purple, and even navy blue. If you're someone who prefers softer color palettes, this would look just as beautiful in pastel shades too. I'd also love to experiment with adding those sweet little birds, the postage stamp, and that fragile sentiment strip from the set. They could give the card an entirely different look and feel. And that's a wrap on card number one. Before we move on to the second card, I just want to mention that all the supplies I used to create this design were listed in the description box below, including the links to the brand new Moments in Time release. Moving on to card number two. For this one, I'll be using one of my all-time favorite techniques for creating bold and eye-catching card fronts, which is the embossed resist technique. This involves stamping your image, heat embossing it, and then ink blending over the entire panel. The heat embossed areas resist the ink, allowing the stamped design to shine through while the background picks up all that vibrant color. The result is a beautifully blended panel with striking glossy image that really pops. For this card, I'm creating a birthday design. I started with an A2 size white cardstock panel, and since I plan to do some heat embossing, I first prepped my surface with an anti-static powder tool to avoid any stray embossing. Next, I used VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which is a rich, deep black pigment ink, to stamp my floral focal point image in the right hand corner of the panel along with the happy birthday sentiment. I absolutely love the font and size on the sentiment. It's bold enough to stand out, but perfectly balanced so that it doesn't compete with the floral design. Once I was happy with the stamping, I coated the images with my Simon Says Stamp clear embossing powder to prepare them for heat setting. Since this is a larger design that covers nearly half of the panel, it's important to let your heat gun fully heat up before bringing it to the cardstock. Also, be sure to keep the heat gun moving continuously rather than holding it in one spot. This helps minimize warping and ensures an even embossing finish across the entire image. Just take a look at that beautiful shine and gloss from the heat embossing. Isn't it absolutely stunning? You could absolutely leave this panel as is and simply mount it on a dark colored card base with some bling or embellishment for an elegant finish. But we are going to take it a step further with the embossed resist ink blending technique, where the heat embossed image resists all the ink we blend over it, allowing the stamped design to shine through beautifully. For this background, I chose a few lovely shades of teals to create a soft ombre effect. You'll notice I'm not ink blending right across the panel. Since we are going for a gradient ombre look, I'll be fading the color upward, leaving the top left corner completely white. Essentially, I'm adding color only around the embossed image to really let it stand out. When I'm ink blending on larger surfaces like this, I prefer using a scrap piece of cardstock or even printer paper as my work surface rather than sticking the panel onto something like an ultra sticky mat. I find this gives me a lot more freedom to move the panel around and adjust my blending angle comfortably. If you like ink blending, you'll know it's definitely a bit of a shoulder workout. Now that the panel is fully ink blended, all that's left is to mount it onto an A2 size card panel. Well, I think I must have missed recording this part, but just like I added gold splatters on card number one, I added some black watercolor splatters here too to complement the black embossed image and pull the whole thing together. Here's a look at both the finished cards. I absolutely love how beautiful they turned out. It's amazing how one single stamp set can be used to create two completely different designs. Not only are these cards stunning and simple to make, but they are also perfect for an easy mass production. Let me know in the comments below which card is your favorite. Do you prefer card number one with the tone on tone effect or card number two featuring the gorgeous embossed resist technique? So, those were the cards I created using the Vintage Blooms stamp set, part of the latest Moments in Time release by Simon Says. Now, let's move on to the surprise I mentioned at the start of the video, where I will be sharing an exclusive sneak peek at some other projects that I made using products from this exciting new release. I will have videos showcasing all of these cards and the process of how I created these cards in the future, so please do stay tuned. Here's another card where I used the back to school embossing folder and coordinating die to create a striking card front with a distress blackout technique. I stamped the sentiment from the Thank You Teachers stamp set and added some faux splatters for an extra detail. I used the same 3D embossing folder again, but this time with a vibrant rainbow background. And for my focal point, I stamped the adorable little puppy holding an apple along with the sentiment from the Thank You Teachers stamp set. I then used the petal tipped wafer die to create a charming focal point using that stamped image. That's another great example of how you can use one product to create two completely different looks. For my next card, I went for a clean and simple style. I stamped a couple of images from the Thank You Teacher stamp set along with a sentiment directly onto an A2 size card panel. I love the soft pastel tones on this one. The splatters you see here are actually faux splatters, a technique I'll be sharing in an upcoming video. My next card showcases the beautiful hugs word and shadow die paired with stamped images from the Thank You Teacher stamp set. Notice how I combined different sentiments from the set to create a unique personalized message for the card front. For the next two cards, I used the Banner Greetings stamp and coordinating stencil set. As the main focal point, I paired them with the large floral images from the Big Botanical stamp set, which was part of the You Are My Favorite release, which was the previous release by Simon Says. I wanted to highlight just how stunning these banners are and how easy it was to ink blend using the coordinating stencils. And if you've noticed, each one features a different design of banner. Last but not the least, I have a card featuring the tethered daisy wafer die, which I used to create the main focal point. I added some subtle stenciling to the background and paired it with a thinking of you sentiment from the banner greeting stamp set. This just goes to show you can use the sentiment stamps on their own without needing to use the banners themselves. Those were the cards I created using the products from the latest Moments in Time release by Simon Stamp. I had so much fun making these projects, and I have many more coming your way. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. I'll be sharing plenty more videos featuring these beautiful products. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed watching the video and got inspired. All the supplies that I used to create the cards with the vintage bloom stamp set are linked in the description box below, along with the links to the latest release. Please note that all of these links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Thank you again for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe.